What is up, everybody? Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. I see there's already quite a few in here. That's awesome. Welcome. Yeah, it's time. Everybody has been begging me to come on and talk spoilers. They were all wondering why I waited so long. Two reasons. One, I wanted to see the movie at least one more time to kind of let it all sink in, and I didn't want to judge it off just one viewing and how I felt like immediately after. And also because I wanted to bring in a guest this time. This is actually the first time I've had a guest on a live stream. So I'm very excited. You may recognize her from the Night Watch Zone and Craven Something Scary streams. Lots of good stuff out there. Please welcome, if I don't knock my computer over, see how excited I am. Julie is here.
Hey. Hello. Thank you so much for having me. First guest is crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. I know so many people that do this, but I've never, for some reason, it never dawned on me, like, why don't you have a guest on? Like,
Now you can start.
Yes, it's time. Always a guest on other people's, and yeah, it's time.
It is.
So what's up? Let's see who's in here. Aaron Snyder. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for saying ladies first. Let's see. We got Josh. He is here. I'm here. Samir's here. What's up, Samir? Mind Bro is always, I can always count on him. He is always here. Last night I found and bought a 2023 EU. Nice. Scream Ghost 8 2027 is here. Evening Nate. What is up? Ryan is here. Talking Chucky podcast is here. Awesome. He says he needs a bear like that for
people
sure.
Like the bear. I debuted the bear Tuesday night for the first time on my friend Carrie's channel. And I don't know if you guys know Killjoy Jake, but he was like,
yeah,
oh my God, the bear. He was like, I can't stop staring at the bear. And I was like, all right, the bear's got to be a regular now.
It is awesome. It is awesome.
Thanks.
Aaron says, hello, Julie Lynn.
Hello.
All right, guys. Well, you know what? Let's just dive into some spoiler talk. Oh, let's see what this is. Believe me, you have a special package on the way soon, Nate. Okay, I believe I know what this is. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, let's talk about this. Okay. Scream 7, Julie.
Whew.
Yeah, okay. There, obviously, if you don't know the history here, there was a lot of speculation for a lot of months, going on months, about what it could be, what it was going to be, how it was going to be, what was going to happen, how it was all going to play out, what type of Scream are we going to get, what type of ending are we going to get, are we actually finally going to get the so-called Stu ending, are we not getting that, but are we still getting something completely mind-blowing, fresh, new, something we've never seen before? What was your initial thoughts?
So I've seen it twice. I saw it Thursday night, opening night, and then I saw it immediately the night after, because I was like, I gotta go see it again, because I was going to be on a stream Saturday night, and I was like, I gotta collect my thoughts, because the first time I saw it, it was, I don't know, this might just be me, or it could be the pacing of the movie, but it felt like such a blur, and I could not collect my thoughts after I'd seen it. I was like, I'm excited, but I'm really disappointed, but I'm really excited, but I'm also really sad that, I didn't get the ending that I thought they were really going to give us. I mean, like, I thought we were going to get Stu. I really did. And yeah, obviously, Steven from Craven Something Scary was like the person, the believer of Stu. And honestly, Stu coming back never crossed my mind until I met Steven. And then, he's been building it up for years, and the way this movie went, I was like, they're gonna do it. This is crazy. They're actually doing it.
Mhm.
So anyway, overall thoughts. The first two acts I love. The third act is a little disappointing for me. Um, the
Yeah.
first the first time I saw it, I was so excited for most of the movie. I was like, this is awesome. This is great. And then the reveal happened, and I just remember feeling so disappointed that like I kind of zoned out a little, and I could like barely listen to the motive because I was like, no, 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 oh no. um, it was
Yeah.
it was underwhelming for me, but even after a second viewing, I will say like the majority of the movie is like awesome to me.
Mhm.
It's just that ending, and the same thing happened to me with Six, where it was like a nine out of 10 movie for me until the masks came off. And then I was like, what? It just felt like a huge tonal shift. And it was like, ah, and then it just
Yeah.
sticks with you and it haunts you because it's like, well, dang, like it just, then you think back on the rest of the movie and you're like, well, that sucks. So, I'll
Yeah.
let you talk now, but that's
Well,
where I'm at.
fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, you and I discussed it after seeing it opening night, and I think we had, pretty similar thoughts overall. Overall, I enjoyed the movie. I think again, we're talking about a part 7 in a not just a regular franchise, but a horror franchise. And to have a movie that's even like mostly good at that point in that chapter, in chapter 7, part 7, is pretty impressive. So I got to give him credit for that. I still don't think there's been a bad Scream movie or a Scream movie that's, just completely sucked. I think you can pick apart a lot of the sequels, issues here and there. Overall, I did enjoy it, but I did feel kind of the same. I was a little bit let down with the ending. And I was never on the Stu train. I've always been like, no, he's dead. Like, don't do that. That's too crazy to say all of a sudden he's alive. If you were gonna do that, you should have done it like 4 sequels ago. At this point, it wouldn't make sense. And I kind of went into this knowing pretty much for sure. It was the only thing that I can say was partially spoiled for me was I was told by somebody very close to production that was like, "No, dude, Stu's dead." They were like, "I'm not gonna tell you how he plays into it," but they're like, "He is dead. It's explained that he's dead, so
Oh man.
that's not gonna happen." Well, kind of like you watching this the first time, even with that in my head, there was still moments where I was like, "He's freaking lying to me. Like they're gonna do this. Like holy shit, they're actually going to go through with this and do it." And I was surprised. I literally, up to the last minute, come on out, Stu. I was like, oh no, they're really doing this. And then
They got me with that.
it was yeah. So it was surprising in that sense. I also was a little I was having flashbacks to Scream 6 on my, viewing opening night when the unmaskings happened and all the killers are just blah 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 blah. And I remember opening night of 6 being like, wait, what's going on? Who's this? Wait, dad? Who's dad? I don't understand what's happening. Like I remember feeling that way during Scream 6 on the first viewing. Like I was like, I don't know what's happening right now. It's like the mask comes off and all of a sudden they're calling someone dad, and Tara's like, "Dad?" And the way she says it is like, "Wait, is that Sam and Tara's dad? What is going on?" Like, I was so confused. And yeah, it got a little silly. So I kind of had like a little flashback to that during the reveal in 7, where I kind of felt like, "Wait, what? What's going on? Who are you?"
Yep.
Like I knew who they were. I recognize. I wasn't like, "Wait, who's that? I've never seen them before." But as they started going, I was like, "Wait, what's the motive? Hold on." Now, obviously, it got a little bit easier to understand and digest once I thought about it afterwards. And, on repeat viewings, I've seen it 3 times now. It's now I think it flows a little bit better to me, but I still think that initial reaction was like, wait, what? Like, what's going on right now? What's the motive? I don't understand. So
Yeah.
that's where my overall thoughts landed, especially after the first viewing.
Yeah. Was there anything that stood out to you on your third viewing that like upped the score for you a little
Yes,
bit
that
or lowered it?
actually changed. And I wanted to bring that up because I actually messaged Julie and was like, "Did you notice the score? Like, I felt like I didn't even notice it, and maybe it's just me." And you were like, "No, I totally noticed it." And this was after the first viewing, and I was like, maybe it's just me. And then I sent it to a couple other people, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I see a lot of people saying that." And I was like, maybe it's not just me. But then when I saw it the second time, almost immediately, I was like, no, it was just me. Like, no, I see it, I hear it, I feel it. I'm picking up on little cues that I didn't notice the first time.
Yeah, when you said it, I was like, really? Because I noticed it right away from the opening, and I was like, all right, we're back.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
felt good, and that opening was awesome.
yes, yeah,
However, however, I feel like retrospectively, when the reveal happened, uh, as soon as I left the theater, I was like, wait a minute. Um, and then I know they said, yeah, they wanted Sydney to think it was Stu, and that was the whole gimmick of the movie, but it just really feels like, why'd they feel the need to burn down a historic landmark like Stu's house for
yes,
like it and again, if it had been actually him alive doing it, or even his sister was a popular theory that we talked about for like 2
yeah,
years now. We're like, it's Leslie, his sister. It didn't happen. But either one of those people, it would have saved the movie for me.
right.
I feel like the whole rest of the movie would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah, and all right. Well, okay, let's just do this then. Let's break down scene by scene, more or less. Not shot for shot. We're not going to be on here for 10 hours. But let's just kind of go through the movie together and just kind of say like what was good, what was bad, what we liked, what we didn't like. Just kind of burn through the movie real quick. So, okay, the whole the opening scene as a whole, from the start of the movie until the Scream 7 logo. What did you think of the opening scene?
I love it, and I think it's going to hold up. However, I wish they would stop spoiling so much in the trailers. And my fault for watching the trailer, I guess. But we saw such an awesome scene with oh God, is it Madison, the
Yeah,
character?
yeah,
Madeline? Okay. When she is hanging on the chandelier and she falls on the knife, and that is
yeah,
like the coolest scene in the opening. And we see it in the trailer, which is why like for months we've been like, it's got to be a misdirect. It's not going to happen exactly the way it looks, but it did. That being said, that's not the movie's fault, and uh, I think this one's going to hold up on rewatch. Some like the opening of 4, for example, is kind
mhm,
of if you're not in the mood for it, it can get a little annoying on rewatch for me at least. And I absolutely
yeah,
love Scream 4, like love, love, love. The opening though is a little like it can drag a little bit on repeat viewings for
yeah.
me at least.
All the prank fake
Yeah.
openings are kind of like, it works the first time you watched it for sure. Um,
Hmm.
it's very entertaining and funny, several viewings after. But pretty much after that, it's kind of like, okay, like I just want to skip to like the real opening. Like, let's just get to the point here.
Yeah. But anyway, so this one, I think, yeah, honestly, well, Six's opening was really good for me too, but this
Mhm.
one's up there, probably top 3 or 4 openings for me. I thought the two actors they chose for this scene were awesome.
Yeah,
Um, he was funny and she was great, and I liked their dynamic where he was really into it and he's being silly and like obsessed with everything, and she was not so into it. But I thought it was great. And then, oh my God, the ending where so when they're in the kitchen and Madison's like, man, I would hate to die like Amber. That's awful, being burned alive. And then that's
Yeah.
exactly what happens to her. It's
Uh-huh.
brutal. Oh, so I love the opening. And then I think right as they're driving up in the beginning, you hear on the car radio, there's a little Easter egg where it says there was a Stu Macher sighting at a college party in 97, I think. And then I was like, oh, that's so cool because, Matthew
Yep.
Lillard had a little background role in that movie in Scream 2. And that was my first indication where I'm like, oh my God, they're actually doing this. Like right
Yeah,
off
like
the
they
bat, I
went
was like,
deep
oh
with that
shit, they're
one.
serious. Yeah.
That was deep. They
Yeah.
didn't start their first reference to him possibly being alive wasn't like the usual like, well, you never know, the TV might not have killed him. It wasn't
Right.
that. Like they went really deep. And they really went, when you think about it, I don't know how much you remember from that time back then, the rumors online, but that was kind of when it started, was when he was spotted in Scream 2 on the message boards. A lot of people were like, I'm pretty sure that's Stu back there. And of course we all knew, like it came out, it was like, well, he was making his hair was blonde because he was making this movie and he just happened to visit the set and Wes threw him in the background. And then it just, the rumors kind of went from there, and then it just kept going and going and going. So I found it interesting that they started the movie with really the original thing that started the whole "Could Stu Be Alive" thing all the way back in 1997.
That is so cool. Actually, I was 1 year old when that was going on, but that is amazing. I'm so glad that I now know that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, that was definitely how it started. But yeah, overall, I love the opening scene as well. I agree with you. I think it's one of the better ones. I think it's definitely the best of the 3 recent films. Like if you're gonna look at
Really? Okay.
5, 6, and 7, I think it's my favorite. I think with probably, I'm always tempted to say Scream 5's opening is my favorite, but I really think that a lot of that has to do with how I felt in the theater, just like this is a new Scream movie after,
Hmm.
how many years, and that excitement. I try not to let that cloud how I feel. So I don't know, it's tough. It's tough. Who knows? Like in a week from now, I could be like, nah, 7's not the best opening. I think maybe it's 5, 6,
No,
whatever.
I get that. My opinion switches daily. Like
Yeah.
when people were asking for my rankings this week, I don't think I gave every person the same one. I was like, I don't know. Maybe
Mhm.
5 is last, maybe 3 is last. I don't know. But actually, when you said that and I acted shocked, I would actually, in all my rankings this week, I actually put 7 above 6 and 5. Yeah, I think it was 7, 6, 5. Because again, I love 6, just not
Mhm.
the ending. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh,
So, all right. So we both agree the opening was awesome. It was a
mhm.
great way to start the movie. The kills in the opening were awesome. Right off the bat, without having seen any other kills, just the opening kills, I immediately in my mind was like, wait a second. I thought you guys were like, oh, the last 2 movies were way too violent, and we're going to go back to where that's just scares and stuff and tension. And I'm like, holy, like when he slides that knife slowly into his head, it didn't even feel like a scream kill to me. And there's
Mm-mm.
several kills in this movie that don't feel like a scream kill at all. Some of them are close to like Final Destination or Terrifier, things like that. Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
yeah, that I noticed right away was the brutality, which I loved, but I just thought, wait, I thought the other ones were too violent.
Yeah, were they who said that, by the way? I can't remember if that was Kevin Williamson
They
or
both, well, Kevin said separately that his favorite sequel of all the Screams is 6,
right,
and
yeah.
then 2, and then 5. And he said the only issues he had was like, oh, that was just so violent. And then Matthew came in his own interview and said the last two movies were just too violent, and Ghostface with a gun, and it was just all violence, and there was no scares. And if we're going to do another one, it's going to be more grounded in reality and tense and everything. And I thought you guys just did the most brutal kills of the entire franchise.
I think they were lying, or
Yeah.
it wasn't their choice or something. I have no idea, because that's crazy. This was definitely way more violent.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we go from the opening we go to Pine Grove. We kind of let's just look at that whole section as a whole. Like, we go to Pine Grove, we meet Sydney's daughter, we meet her, I guess you'd say, boyfriend Ben. Very familiar scene there from the original. What did you think of that scene, as well as the introduction of Sydney and her husband Mark?
At first I was a little worried about Ben, the boyfriend, because I was like, not another one. Like, it just felt a little repetitive. However, when he came through the window, I think he says something like, I saw this in a stab movie, and I was like, okay. And then he was intentionally doing like the movements and it was all intentional. It wasn't just like he coincidentally decided to do that. So I think it was fine. I love Sydney's first interaction with Tatum when she busts in the room, and
Me too.
Tatum's like, "Can you knock?" And she's like, "I did."
Yeah.
And she kicks Ben out.
Yeah, how you doing back there, Ben? Yeah. On the floor, behind the bed. Yeah, that was great.
That was very, I love Neve Campbell in this movie, by the way. I think she did amazing. And then her and Mark. Mark is my new favorite character, by the way.
Right?
Or I should say, I don't know. I should be careful. I should say my favorite new character.
Yeah. I didn't expect much from his character based on. I mean, I'm not trying to be like that guy, but it was like Joel McHale, really? That's who's married to Sydney? Are you kidding me? And then it was like, just what we saw of him briefly in the trailers. I was like, this guy looks like a freaking, like, just a weirdo, like a wet noodle. There's something's really weird about him. I don't like this vibe I'm getting. And it completely changed when I saw the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the last thing I had seen Joel McHale in was Yellow Jackets. I don't know if you've seen that show, but Jasmine Savoy Brown is also in it. And he just, again, it's nothing against Joel McHale. It's just the characters he plays. And in that show, he's kind of a jerk. I just don't like his character. So then that being the last thing I saw him in, I was like, oh God, Sydney's going to be married to like a quippy asshole. And I really Sydney would not marry a person like this. She just wouldn't.
Right.
And then I had to completely eat my words when I saw it, because I was like, oh shit, this guy's my new favorite character. He's amazing. He's tough. And he's like, and they never once pull maybe he's a killer. Cause no, he's just not.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And come to think of it, I'm just now realizing that they never put him in a moment that made you go like, wait, what? I mean, I did see a couple people at one point say like, oh, when he said like, oh, did I tell you I was 17? I was 15 actually. And she's like, you lied to me. I saw a couple people go, what? Right when that happened, I thought, oh, he's a liar. He could be a killer. I didn't read that moment that way. I just kind of read it as like fun, playful.
Yeah, I kind of thought he was joking. I don't know. Yeah, I took it as more of a joke, or like, I don't know, or just an honest mistake, not even like a, deliberate lie.
Yeah, I definitely didn't take it as like, oh, they're trying to paint him as a liar, which means he could be lying about other things.
Right.
I didn't take it that way at all.
And I'm really glad they didn't like try to do a red herring with him, because it's just like, no. I feel like Sydney's supposed to have been married to this man for I don't know how long, but I feel like it makes sense for her character to like, she would have been really sure about the person she was marrying and having kids with at this point, I would think.
Right.
So I think it says a lot that their relationship is super strong in this movie, and she never once doubts him, and he never once acts out of line or weird or sus. So yeah,
Yeah,
I thought that was perfect.
I agree.
And I didn't really miss Patrick Dempsey, which is interesting.
No, yeah, and I don't know. It seemed like a good idea at the time when they were announcing like, oh, he was probably going to be in it as her husband. It was like, oh, that's really cool. But I don't know if it's just because Joel McHale's character and he was so good in this one, or if I just kind of grew out of that idea. But I wasn't that disappointed when they were like, well, actually, it's not going to be him. I was just kind of like, okay, whatever. Like, we don't need everybody that's been in every Scream movie that survived to somehow be connected, still.
That's a good point. I was personally like disappointed and salty because I was like, oh no, like it was clearly supposed to be Mark Kincaid, and then they couldn't get Patrick Dempsey for legitimate reasons, but now they're just shoving this other actor in there, and it's not going to
Yep.
be the same character. It's going to be really weird that she married another guy named Mark.
Yeah.
Which really is not that weird, actually. There's plenty of people with the same name, but
Right.
it was just one of those things where it didn't work out how it was supposed to. So then I just couldn't help but feel like disappointed because we didn't get what we were supposed to get.
Right. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And then, okay, so from there we move on to, the next morning we're meeting her kind of friend group, walking to that was one thing I'll point out right away. I couldn't figure out like what was school like not in session and they were literally just going to this rehearsal, or were they actually walking to school? Because I found it interesting that there's not really a school scene. It's just the theater scene is like all we get. We see them walking and they're all going.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know for sure, but I kind of interpret it as they're walking to play practice before school starts, or maybe it's like their first class of the day. I don't know. I forget how school works, but even though it would probably be dark at that time when they were walking, but it's I don't know, it's a non-issue for me.
Yeah.
But I think when Sydney calls Mark later, she's like, Mark, there's a killer at the theater. So it kind of seems like it's a separate entity from the school. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably a non-issue, but yeah, it was kind of odd.
Yeah, it's just little things like that kind of like where you're like, wait, hold on a second, and I feel like that never happened in a lot of the other sequels. There wasn't so many things where I was like, wait, are they at school or are they at just like this theater in town? Like what? I don't understand where they're at or where they're going.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things in this movie that kind of could have been clearer or maybe done a little better.
Right, for sure.
Again, I don't know. I feel like we had less problems in the previous movie in terms of like, continuity or believability, I guess I would say. I'll let it go.
Yeah, we can forgive some things. Well, what do you think of the friend group overall?
Oh, well, no, okay, so it's two things. I wasn't really impressed with them at all, but the second thing being that like I didn't really care. Like my characters that I was interested in this movie were Sydney, Tatum, Gail, the Meeks twins, and Mark.
Yeah.
So honestly, we didn't even need a friend group. I realized they just had to have some cannon fodder in there, but yeah, I mean, I'm glad we didn't spend too much time setting them up and taking time away from other people is what I'll say. They were a bit bland though, so.
Yeah, it's interesting how that works, isn't it? It's kind of you have one group of people that would say, well, all those characters were terrible because we didn't get to spend time with them before they all, got killed or whatever happens to them. And, we should have spent more time with them. But then you have like what seems to be an even larger group of people that are like, but they were all just so bland, and I'm kind of glad that we didn't spend, a ton of time with them. And I didn't really care to get to know any of them in that way. And, I personally had a feeling on my first viewing that this was going to end similar to Scream 4, where it's literally like, I remember walking out of Scream 4, because if you remember at the time, obviously, when Scream 4 was announced, they were like, and we're doing a 5 and 6 right after. That's what we were supposed to get. So I remember walking out of Scream 4, and I believe the first thing I did was text the prop master that I had worked with on it, and I was like, question, how are they doing a Scream 5 when literally all the new characters are dead? Like, I remember feeling that way. And I kind of felt this way watching this one. I kind of had a feeling of like, I don't think any of these people are going to be sticking around for a sequel. And that wasn't to say that I necessarily thought they were all going to be killed by Ghostface. Certainly I had no idea if one of them was possibly one of the killers. But I just had a feeling like once we met all the characters, I was like, I don't see any of them surviving. And it could just be about how bland they were, like you said.
It could be. I never suspected any of them of being a killer. I was just like, these are just nice drama kids.
Yeah.
And then, of course, shortly after that, we get our first FaceTime call. And when that happened, I was like, to be honest, I wasn't thinking about anybody else. I was like, oh, this is it. I was like, maybe there's people helping him, but like they're doing it.
Yeah. And what was your reaction to that moment when he comes up on screen the very first time? Obviously, it had been rumored that he was going to be a part of some sort of like AI calls. That was a rumor. Of course, we never really saw that in the trailer, so it was never set in stone. And so it was really our first time of seeing Matthew in the movie. And what was your reaction to seeing him and seeing him as Matthew looks today? Like, they didn't de-age him to make it look like, 17-year-olds do. They left him how he is. His hair is a little gray, and then the scars on his face. What was your reaction to seeing that the first time?
It was really jarring the first time I saw it. I was like, oh shit, oh my god, okay, they're just doing it. In terms of like, we knew the AI stuff was coming, we did, but I don't know. I mean, like, my friends and I have been saying like for months or weeks, we're like, well, it's probably going to be intermittent calls throughout the movie and maybe like different people, because we had heard about David Arquette and Scott Foley returning also, which we were obviously like, okay, they're going to be AI. I had no idea what to expect in terms of like what Stu would look like, if he was going to be the charred version of himself and age appropriate, or if he was going to be de-aged. Of course, that wouldn't make sense in the narrative they went with, that he's alive. And I know a lot of people are kind of clowning on the AI calls and his performance in these, but I loved it. I thought, I mean, he had me laughing, which is like a Stu thing to do.
Yeah.
And I thought Matthew was just having so much fun while also being threatening, I thought some of them could have been like the first one is in broad daylight, which I know because that's the time of the day. But I was thinking like maybe if he had done the call like in the dark, like in the theater somewhere, so that you wouldn't see his face so clearly and in the camera, that was like, whoa, to me. But
it was definitely jarring when I saw it first, because I was expecting it, but I guess I wasn't expecting it that soon into the movie, like on the first call. And there was also no, like, everybody, I've seen other people go, oh, as soon as I saw she was getting a FaceTime request, I knew that's what was happening. even on my third viewing, I didn't see anything that showed me she was getting a FaceTime request. It was like she's on the phone talking to Ghostface. Her phone rings again. She looks down at the phone, and you can't even really see what it says. And then she clicks on her computer screen, and there he is. So I was kind of like, whoa.
Yeah, I feel like on my second viewing, I saw it was either like a different tone when the call was coming in, or I feel like there was something on her phone that indicated it. But yeah, either way, like you said, it was like when he popped up on the computer, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I was like, hold
Okay.
on. Yeah, there he is.
And,
What's happening?
and like you said, I was not expecting it so early. Yeah, the very first phone call was just like, whoa, okay, we're doing it. I thought it would be, yeah, I don't know when, but later.
Yeah, and I don't know why it was so weird. It was just so weird to see him in that role again, whether it was actually him or an AI call. And I agree. I've seen a lot of people saying like, "Oh, his performance was terrible. Like they should have told him to tone it down. They should have told him to, pull it back a little bit. Like it was just so goofy and whatever." And my response to that is, when is the last time you watched the freaking ending of the original movie? Because he is off his fucking rocker going nuts and complete Looney Tune, literally spitting, drooling. I mean, that's what he was invoking, was that performance.
Right.
So, maybe, if you want to say, oh, it looked kind of weird because he's like, older now. He's not like this young kid anymore doing it. That I could maybe see, but I don't get the people that are like, oh my gosh, it was so embarrassing, his performance. It was like, what are you doing? It's like, I don't know, maybe Stu from the ending of the original movie. That's
I
how
don't
I
think
saw it.
Yeah, because here's how I feel about it. Like people are like, "Oh, that's so goofy and what a weird performance." And now I had said I hate the ending of Scream 6 because Wayne Bailey, for example, turns really goofy. Um,
Yeah.
but the difference is that he had some weird line delivery throughout the movie. Like, "You mess with my family, you die" was a little silly, but it wasn't meant to be silly. And the difference is that as soon as he took the mask off, he turned into a clown. But with
Yeah.
Stu is funny and silly throughout the entire first movie.
Mm-hmm.
So then when he is wacky at the end, like even more than usual, it's like it's natural for him. That's just him, you know. He didn't just suddenly become weird at the end of the movie. So I feel like that's just him and it made perfect sense the way he was acting.
Yeah, and obviously we've talked about that before, but I totally agree about the ending of 6. It's one of the main issues I have with it. There's several, but and even watching I don't remember if it was the commentary for part 6 or if it was some of the behind the scenes stuff like the interviews, but it might have been the commentary. But even the directors, they were like, "Oh gosh, the amount of times we told him to tone it down and pull back on the goofiness," and they were like, eventually we just had to let him do it because he wouldn't stop and he was just having so much fun. And it's like, yeah, I get that, but you guys really should have been like, dude, this part, it's not a comedy. Like, you're being ridiculous. Like,
I didn't know that. Oh
yeah.
my gosh. Because this whole time I was like, who told him to act like that? Who directed him to act this way? But oh no, that's devastating.
Yeah. And Tim
Woo.
Oliphant has a similar story, like from himself, where he said, "Oh God, I hope they never release." He said it in an interview that he hoped they never released some of the outtakes from his reveal when they did Scream 2, because he was like, "I just kind of had this idea in my head of like how a crazy person would act." And he's like, "I went for it." And he's like, "Wes, the nicest, sweetest director I've ever worked for." He walked up and he just goes, "This is really good, but don't do any of that again. Like, we're gonna start from the beginning." And it was too, like, it's too much. You're too much. People are gonna laugh
Uh,
at you. And he's like, "So I got a little slap on the hand." And he's like, "I still don't know if I pulled it off, but he liked what I did, whatever." Yeah,
that's
it
so
seems
funny.
like they didn't do that in part 6.
But I guess, yeah, those are the calls you got to make. You got to just, I mean, I guess what they said they tried to tell him to cool it down and he just wouldn't. But
Yeah.
I would have been like, all right, go home for the night and we're gonna redo this tomorrow because this is not working.
You have an opportunity to be genuinely scary and, you know, terrifying. Why are you? It's the laugh, the the amount of times he does that.
The eyebrows, of course it was me, ha ha ha. Like it just nope, running at Sam with the gun. All right, we'll stop. But
Yeah, we're not dissecting 6.
The point was it didn't make sense for that character. For this character, the goofiness makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so next scene, let's just talk about Hannah's death. Let's talk about McKenna Grace's death scene. What did you think of that?
So that I feel like that whole scene was a little, I didn't love the scene as a whole, but like the drama teacher was just bizarre. Like that comment was just like, what? Okay. But anyway, him aside, I think her death was cool. It was creepy when the I forget his name, but the kid who was managing the ropes on her.
Aaron.
Thank you. Yeah, Aaron. He's just, you hear like a ooh or something. You hear like a oof and a thud, and she's like, hello. And then the lights go out or whatever. And I love that part when she's getting really irritated, she can't get down, and then Ghostface walks in the door and she's like, what the fuck?
Yes.
That was so, and he's glittery again.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? He's glittery again. I love that. I think the death was cool. I thought it was a little, I don't know. I try to like suspend my disbelief, but I feel like she needed to be moving at a little higher rate of speed for that final swipe to the gut to do that. But I could be totally off there. It just seemed like, oh, he's like swiping at her, he's slicing her, and then all of a sudden just that one final woof, and she's completely opened up. But
yeah, and it was almost like you know, when he's slicing her arms and legs, he's literally like swiping, and then when he opens her up, she's just swinging again, and he's just like,
it's almost like he just holds it there, right?
Yeah, very similar to the opening when he just rolls over and holds the knife like that, which was still cool. That was amazing.
Which, by the way, don't you think he would at least be injured a little bit from her falling on him from that height?
Oh, for sure.
She landed on the knife, but she still landed on his body.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. Whatever.
Yeah, I thought that as well. Yeah, that was a little surprising.
And also him just face first off the second floor, and he was fine. So it's whatever. It's
fine.
I
mean, like you said, that's you know, you can go to any Scream film and pick out moments where Ghostface is literally smashed in the face with some object. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe, just from memory, the only one to really show any sort of impact from that is Scream 2, when Mickey takes his mask off and he's got that huge gash on his head that's already bleeding from the car accident.
Yes. And
there may have been somebody else, but I'm not.
Yeah, I guess not. I was thinking of Quinn with the brick to the mouth and her teeth get knocked out and she has a bloody mouth, but that's after her mask is off. So that doesn't.
Which that part I love, by the way. That part was really cool.
That was awesome. But yeah, the amount of times that Ghostface gets like a heavy object right to the face in the nose. I think the first Ghostface, Carl, when they're going in the panic room and then she's like, I forget what she says, but she's like, boom, and she smashes him in the face. And then, of course, when he's unmasked later, he's got no damage, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ghostface definitely has insane durability for sure.
He does, and you almost have to kind of think of it as a separate entity, even though it's supposed to be, you know, the character under there. Yeah.
That really is what it looked like he was doing when he rolled over.
That was a funny thing. Like, oh my god, when I saw that in the trailer, I was like, that is so freaking funny. He just rolled over.
Stu kind of just looks in the mirror after the opening sequence, and he has no looks in the mirror after the opening sequence. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah. Like in Scream, after the original kills, like when Stu's hanging out by Tatum's locker, and he like pulls out her little mirror and is like going like that.
That's
yeah,
right.
He definitely doesn't have any damage, but he definitely was, smashed in the face a couple times during that.
Yeah, so that's we can't nitpick this movie about it, I guess, because it's been going on forever.
All right, so next, obviously, Hannah's dead. We've got some more possible suspects being interviewed. And then we go back to Sydney's house, where the police sweep the house. Conveniently, they forget to sweep the attic, which is a perfect hiding spot. And we immediately get Ghostface like that. Just, moments after the big Hannah kill scene, he is back. What did we think of this? Let's just look at the whole scene leading up to what I'll say the car incident, introducing another character. What do we think of that whole scene with the panic room and Ghostface stalking through the house?
Yeah, this house sequence is my favorite scene in the movie. Like from the point when Sydney runs into the theater and she shoots at Ghostface and she's like, motherfucker, and then she misses, and then of course Mark shows up, and then they do the interviews, and then we don't even get a break. We go we go home, and we're like, okay, they're safe, they're home. The police check their house, not well. and then it gets right into it. Sydney's like, pack your bags, we're leaving. And then the camera like goes out, and you see in the hallway the attic door opening, and he just jumps down.
Unbeknownst to them, he's already like 2 feet away from them. Yeah.
And Sydney's right there in the hallway, and he's like right here, and he just like scoots out of frame into like the next room, and he's just the way they made him act like a real ghost in this movie is just is really cool. I don't remember them doing that previously really at all.
Just some shots here and there, like in Scream 2 when Cece's at the sorority house and she gets the call, and you can see him sneak in the background and kind of disappear. We get some shots like that, but definitely more so in this one. So what did you think of the fact? I don't even know if you noticed this. I haven't really seen anybody else say this, but I noticed it on my first viewing and subsequent viewings. It still bothers me. So they're trying to leave. They're in a hurry. Sydney and Mark both go into the bedroom, and Sydney's like, why'd you turn the light out, Mark? It's really dark. Now the whole house is dark. And Mark's like, I thought you did. They hear that noise, and they're like, oh, Tatum. Mark pulls out his gun, which very clearly has a freaking flashlight on it, and he never turns it on. You can see the flashlight attached to the barrel of the gun, and it's off. He never clicks it on. He's just walking through the dark with this gun that has a flashlight on it that he doesn't turn on. That bothered me because I was like, why would you even put a flashlight on this prop gun if you're not going to turn it on and use it? Like,
I didn't notice that, but now I'm going to notice it. So thanks.
Sorry. Yep. You're going to notice it next time. But then obviously he finds his daughter being held captive by Ghostface, which I thought was really jarring. It was jarring for me because, again, that's something I don't think we've really seen Ghostface do. He basically had a hostage, more or less. I know he's tied people up before. He's tied up Gail, and he's hidden people like Sydney's dad in the kitchen in Scream 1. He's done things like that, but this is the first time I've seen is literally like a standoff with Ghostface. Like there's a gun pointed at him, and he's got the daughter hostage.
And I love the physicality of Ghostface in this movie, like the way he in the scene, Carl, and he's like behind her with the knife. And like he's like just the way he's standing is so interesting and different. He's not stiff. He's like crouched behind her. And then and then Sydney's like, just let her go. And he does the head shit. Nope. And it's like it's there's just some really cool physical acting from the ghost faces in this movie, I feel like. Yeah. We kind of got that in 6, like with the little head nod when he's in the bodega with the and the guy's giving him shit. But anyway, yeah, this and then yeah, oh my gosh, and then yeah, he's holding her hostage, and then they're like, oh, just let her go, and Mark puts the gun up, and then he tells her to drop, which I guess they rehearsed at some point. And then this part is just like my favorite scene in the movie, when he and Sydney are just, well, he tackles Ghostface and he's doing some hand to hand, and then Sydney helps. She runs in and kicks the knife and all that. Yeah, did you like that part?
I loved it. I loved when Sydney got her hands on him, because even though it was brief, she started to kick his ass pretty good, as we want to see. She's no longer really running from these killers. She's getting in there and being like, oh no, you're fucking with Sydney Prescott, like you're going to feel something. What did you, and I'm only asking this, I didn't feel this way, but I've seen some people comment that that they felt like a lot of the scenes, like for example, when Ghostface has Tatum hostage and he's shaking his head no, and he's pointing the knife to kind of tell. I saw a lot of people say like, well, that was weird. Why didn't they just do what they did in most of the other movies, where he like basically has the voice changer in the costume somewhere and clicks it on and starts talking? Did you feel like that was lacking, or did you not really? Some people don't like that. Some people don't like seeing Ghostface standing in front of you talking, with the voice changer.
So I think the first time they did that was 5, right? I think that was the first time, because I remember.
Two was the first one, because right before Mickey takes his mask off, he starts talking to Sydney about like, oh, do you really want to trust your boyfriend?
Oh, you're okay. Yeah.
So that was the first. Yeah, that was the very first time.
Okay, my bad. I feel like so number one, I don't mind that. And actually in 5, like when he's in the scene when he's wheeling Tara down the hospital hallway in the wheelchair, and he's talking on the phone, and he's like, I forget what he says, but he's like, Tara can't come to the phone right now. Like something funny like that, but he's the voice. I thought that worked really well. But honestly, I think in this specific scene, when he has a hostage, it's much creepier when he says nothing. I felt. I'm assuming, in my opinion, what we got was creepier than if he had been talking.
Yeah, I agree, for sure.
Because you don't know what he wants. I mean, obviously he's there for Sydney or her daughter, but it's like, yeah, someone who just refuses to talk to you or reason with you, and they're just like, no, nonverbal, just, yeah, that's scary. So I was fine with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it worked better. And again, we've seen that before. We've seen him click on a voice changer somewhere, whether it's in the mask or however they try to explain it. None of it's really realistic, so it doesn't really matter.
Right.
And we've seen it before, so I thought it was kind of refreshing. It was a little, like you said, darker. It had a much darker tone and feel. So then the fight continues outside. Well, actually, first let's backtrack for a second. They get into the panic room. Are you on that train of people, or the side of people that are like, the dumbest thing in that movie is she has a panic room that clearly nobody can get into, and the first thing she does when she gets in it is like, let's get out of the panic room, let's
well, so okay,
save your dad. Okay, you don't want to stay here, come with me.
I like that she went to go get Mark. I really think she should have not let Tatum leave.
Right.
But she did, so that was kind of stupid. But I mean, when you're in that situation, it's hard to make that call, because who knows? Maybe he could have gotten in and then killed her while Sydney was gone. But panic room was kind of a waste. I was kind of surprised, but not surprised based on her character in this movie, that Sydney said nothing to Tatum about having this panic room. Like, it doesn't even have to be related to Ghostface in her past. Like, it could literally just be like, hey, if someone breaks in, there's this room, by the way. But she had no idea. Or at least I'm pretty sure she had no idea, right?
Oh yeah, she's like, where are we going? What is this? What's happening?
Yeah. I don't know. And then of course they wanted to get them from a writing perspective, they had to get them
Right.
both into the wall, out of
Yeah.
the room. But then at that
Yeah.
point, it's like maybe just don't have the panic room.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I'm okay with it because it gave us that amazing scene
yeah,
in the walls, which again is another one of my favorite moments of this entire sequence that we're talking about. Very, again, I think they showed too much of that in the trailer.
oh yeah,
But it was still very reminiscent to me of some of the great moments in the franchise like that, such as, the escaping from the car in Scream 2, which is, one of the best in my opinion, as far as suspense goes. But then the fight continues outside, and something that has never happened before happens, and that is Ghostface gets hit by a car and is killed part of the way through the movie, which I did not see coming. Did you see that coming at all?
I didn't. Well, so I figured something was going to happen because there was multiple times where the Ghostface got up and was seemingly trying to just get out of there, right? Like, oh
Yeah.
shit, I'm outmatched. I need to just leave. And he was running down the lawn, and then Mark was like, "No, you're not leaving," and he runs and tackles him down again. So I was like, okay, something's gonna happen because Mark is not letting him leave. And then Sydney helped with like the pole, I forget what it was, a birdhouse or something, and she smashed him on the head. And they were going at this guy, and I was like, okay, they're either gonna kill him themselves or something's gonna happen. He's gonna get caught or something.
Now, did your mind ever go during that? I know it's a brief moment where they're in the yard and Mark and Ghostface are literal hand-to-hand combat and they're rolling around. Did your mind at all go to what, again, we saw in the trailers of Mark being wrapped up in the plastic, getting stabbed? Was your brain at all like, how are they going to make it into the garage? Like, I feel like that's what's about to happen.
No, actually not at that. I didn't even think about that during then. I was shocked when he ran into the street, and you kind of like when stuff like that happens in movies, you're like, okay, they might get hit by a car because we've seen it so many times. But even still, when it happened, I was like, oh my god, and like the whole theater was like, whoa.
Yeah, and I didn't know what to make of it. I remember thinking like, well, maybe it's not Ghostface. Maybe Ghostface switched costumes with something. Like maybe he just threw. Like my brain was like, wait, how are they going to explain this? And who are we about to see get unmasked? And obviously it was the introduction of Gail, which I thought was perfect introduction for her for this movie, as well as Chad and Mindy.
The line was a little cheesy when she gets out and she's
Very
like,
cheesy.
"Did I get him?" And but even still, I don't care. I was cheering. Like it was still great.
Yep. And I feel like they definitely did this with that thought in mind of like, it's never been done before. They've never killed a ghost face like halfway through the movie.
Right.
So that there once you get past that initial shock of like, wow, that's just happened, and Ghostface is then unmasked to reveal himself as Carl Gibbs from the coffee shop, who we see for like 8 seconds prior. What was your initial reaction to that?
I was like, okay, cool. That one weird fraction of a scene paid off. And then what I was thinking at this point, I was like, okay, it's Stu, and he's got crazy people that he's masking up and sending as little minions, like for years, decades. So I thought that's where it was going because I was like, okay, cool. It's a random killer. We've seen him technically, but everybody was like, who's Carl?
Yeah. And I saw a lot of people make comments like, oh, I was so confused. I was like, why would it be somebody that but like, there's just a lot of negativity obviously on that. And that part honestly didn't bother me. I was actually glad that it wasn't really like a character that we kind of saw and knew a little bit, because I felt like that would have even been more like, okay, if they had pulled the mask off and it was Ben, her boyfriend, it would have been like, well, now we're going to go down this road of like, who's his partner? And, for it to be somebody that we have seen before, only briefly, and for all the characters to acknowledge, like, wait, it's someone nobody knows, like, that's fucking weird. Like, what does that mean? We've never seen this before. I think it only deepened the mystery of like what was actually going on for me anyways.
No, it did, because then you were like, well, we don't know who this guy is. We don't know who he knows and who's coming next, because there's going to be more than one, obviously. And like that, yeah, that's terrifying. You have no idea how many people are in on it. And you don't know what he wants because he's some random guy. So,
yeah, you can't
yeah,
pinpoint
that's a good point.
who his partner could possibly be because
Mm-hmm.
it could be anybody because you don't even know who this guy is.
I will say, I have to admit, when they pulled off his mask, I was like, who was that? And then Sydney said, oh, I saw him at the coffee shop. And I was like, oh, right, that guy.
Well, for me, the first time I saw it, when they pulled off the mask and I saw his face, I was like, was that one of the guys like working on her house, like in the garage in the beginning?
Oh,
When
you know
he goes
what?
out?
Yeah, that might have been one of my first thoughts too.
Yeah, I thought that at first.
They made a point of showing, yeah, all those people in the garage working, and yeah.
Yeah, that was my first thought, was like, oh, it's one of the construction guys, and now this is gonna go a whole other direction. And so, okay, so that happens, and where do we want to go next? So basically, they do a little research and they find out who this guy is and that he escaped from, is it Fallbrook Mental Institute, and they decide to go and investigate that, while at the same time we get a second call from Stu. This time he's making fun of Gail, which
that
was
one
pretty
line
funny.
he says, where he says, I forget what it is, but he says something like, don't care, like really don't care.
Yeah, that's like she was fired or something.
Yeah,
and she's like, no, I didn't get canceled, it was whatever. And he's like, no, don't care.
Yep.
That was hilarious.
Amazing.
I love that. So basically they decide to do their own little investigation into this. And before we get to the mental institute, there's a phone call to Woodsboro where they basically say, we don't have the paperwork that shows that Stu's body ever made it to the morgue, and the person that worked there at the time is dead. So sorry. So at this point, now we have our main characters who previously were saying, this is so stupid, he's dead, there's no way. Now all of a sudden they're like, maybe he is alive.
Yeah.
And where has he been this whole time? Were you really leaning into that at that moment of like, oh my gosh, they might actually be doing this real?
I was fully on board. I was like, oh my God. I was like, they're stacking evidence already. They've got, it was, his intake forms are missing or something, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I think that was after they talked to Ethan Embry in the hospital. I think that was, or it might have been before. But either way, then in the hospital, they show him the picture of Stu, and he's like, that's John. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This is crazy.
And that was a moment for me where that's where I was like, okay, one of two things is happening here. He is involved because he's trying to make them, he's playing along with this, or like, what the fuck is going on? Like, Stu's alive, or he has a fucking twin brother, or somebody got like plastic surgery to make themselves look like Stu. I mean, I had all these crazy thoughts in my head when he said that, like, oh yeah, that's John, as in John Doe. Yeah, he was here. I was like, oh my God, like, what is happening?
The way he was so casual about it, I was like,
yeah,
you want to see his room? But
you want to see his room? I'll come show you. Come here, I'll show you his room. I was like, oh my God.
Embarrassingly, I took it as like, oh my God, this guy's telling the truth and he's just innocent and has no idea who Stu Macher is.
Yeah.
But of course, I hear other people say like, are you stupid? That was like the most obvious giveaway of I'm the killer and I'm making this shit up. And I was like, didn't come across that way for me.
No, and like I said, I had both thoughts in my head, but with everything else they had been doing, I was like, they might actually be doing this. They very well could be. They could be just throwing it, the wool over her eyes and not doing it. But it feels like they're going in that direction more than I thought that they would. I thought they would establish. I guess when I went into this movie, I never thought that they would play the whole is Stu dead or alive mystery literally from the beginning of the movie till like the very end, till the very, reveal.
Yeah.
I thought it was something that would come up and be explained away as like, oh no, that's stupid, he's dead, and whatever. It's just somebody with AI, and now we're gonna try to figure out who's doing that. That's how I thought it was gonna play out. I didn't think they would play so heavy and hard into the fact that he could still be alive.
No, me neither. Like yeah, I thought, okay, maybe he'll have an AI scene at the end, or they'll have like little breadcrumbs, but I did not expect to get right in, and from the very like first phone call, they're like, Stu's alive. Is Stu alive? This is crazy. I think Stu's alive. And I was like, oh my God. Like, that was shocking because I did not expect the whole movie to revolve around Stu.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't. I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't that. I'm glad it did. I just wish the outcome was different.
Yeah. So we leave the psych hospital, and I guess next the most significant scene would be the fact that they basically figure out with Chad and Mindy's help, like, we need to get everybody together in one setting. We need to get everybody together in one setting. So they all go to, is it Chloe? Is that her name? Yeah. Yep. They all go to Chloe's parent, I'm assuming her parents' bar, or whatever, or maybe it's just somewhere she works. They go to this bar. Town has a curfew, just like the first movie, so it's kind of replaying that whole aspect, which is good because it helps explain why there's nobody in town while certain things are happening later on. So we get the whole breakdown. All the cast are together. Ben's analyzing the videos of Stu, and he's saying, oh, I don't know, it looks kind of real to me. Like, if it's fake, it's a really good one. What did you think of that scene of kind of the, like, everybody's a suspect, we've got everybody in the same room?
Well, number one, I did not suspect anybody in that room of having anything to do with it. So that didn't even cross my mind. But the standout in that scene for me was Mindy and Chad. Yeah. Oh my God. Because I think in 6, especially, I was kind of like, she has that scene on the campus outside, and she's like, these are the rules. And it's like very, like, just felt very forced. But here, I feel like she was either directed much better, or they gave her better material, but she was like, she was casually with them, and she was about to get into it. And Chad's like, Mindy, like, we talked about this. We're not doing this again. And she's like, yeah. And then she gets into it anyway, because she just has to do it. That's just her. And I felt like the way they handled her character in this movie was it was tame enough. And it was also like, I feel like it's the best version we've seen of her, even though she didn't have a whole lot to do.
Yeah, I agree.
That was the best part of that scene for me.
Yeah, I agree. And I also thought that Lucas, his character, I remember when they announced that actor that plays Lucas, and I wasn't really familiar with him in other movies, but like just seeing like his face and all the pictures I saw, I was like, now this is like, not that I thought, oh, he's got to be the killer, look at his face, but I just thought, I see why they hired this kid, because look at his face. Like he's got that like deep, dark, mysterious, creepy kind of, like Billy Loomis, Mickey and Scream 2 vibe. Like, he's just got that vibe about him. And then I don't know about you, but like every time his character was on screen, I was like, he's just like this little like puppy dog though. Like like I felt like they underutilized, like, how sinister and dark his kind of natural facial expression was, because he was really just kind of like, hey guys, I'm Lucas, and I like I like true crime, and I'm just a nerd, mom. Like,
You're right. I wonder if that was on purpose because
Right.
you cast somebody, yeah, like you said, with a face like that. Um, and then yeah, you come in and he's just like an innocent little
Yeah.
guy obsessed with true crime, which is Mindy says like she says something like weird or suspicious,
Yeah.
but but yeah, he just yeah, I never suspected him. So that was subverting our expectations, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And okay, so then we get several Ghostface scenes after this. We have Ghostface attacks in the kitchen and the bar,
Mhm.
and we have Ghostface chasing Tatum after she believes that Ben is possibly involved.
Oh my
So,
god.
what we'll start with the first thing. What did you think of the bar scenes with Ghostface? Everything inside the bar of the
Uh,
there.
um, so when I was talking with my friends on Tuesday night, somebody said, I forget who said it, but somebody was like, break a window. The door is locked, but break a window. She was like,
Yeah,
Chad's
it's
been
locked. We're
stabbed
locked in here.
50 times. Chad's not about to take another stab
Uh,
before trying to like break a window and get out somehow.
yeah, literally, there's no walls in this place. It's just windows the whole way around, and it's like
But
there's your exit.
they could be thick windows, but it's like that there gave me a little like, really? You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of weird writing. But um and then I thought it was kind of weird that was it yeah, Chloe was getting attacked in the kitchen and they were right on the other side and it seemed like they didn't hear anything. Now
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'm trying to think. I don't even know if she screamed or if she was just like. So I remember in that scene, she's like hiding, dodging, and like Ghostface is like silently following her. But then they get into it a bit. But then, but then when Chad and Mindy finally do, yeah, right, Aaron. Then when Chad and Mindy finally do rush in the kitchen to help, there's this kind of bizarre moment where Ghostface is behind Chloe and she has like what? She has like a piece of glass. I can't remember. And
Mm-hmm.
then it looks like Ghostface is grabbing her shoulder and she like turns around and stabs and it's Chad. And I was like, oh my God.
And his
Um,
reaction of like looking at it and going like,
yeah.
"Are you fucking kidding me?"
Um,
At least it was the shoulder and it wasn't like right in the middle of his chest because
oh my
then it
God.
would have been like, "Here we go again."
At this point, you just can't kill him. Like, sorry, that would just be
Mm-hmm.
so stupid. But what I didn't like was this happens to Mindy every movie where they get what? They get like hit by Ghostface or
Yeah,
sliced
they
by
get
Ghostface,
attacked
and then
or
he shoves them down, and then they're just gone for the rest of the movie. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay, guess
yeah.
they just went to sleep there.
Yeah, they're never around for that finale.
Yeah.
Um,
At least
what?
they did see Carl get unmasked though
Yes, that's true.
earlier. At
That
least
is
they
true.
got that. um,
What did you think of Lucas's death?
Um, so okay, so I will say I felt a moment of like, oh no, when he's like, stay here, I'm gonna go take care of it. And she's like, what? And he
Yeah,
grabs like a
is
weapon,
that
and I'm
weird
like,
to you? That moment though, like wow,
it
she
was
just comes out and she's like, "The killer's in there," and he's like, "I got this, I got this, I got this. Get out of the way, I got this." And it's like,
right,
chill out, dude. What are you doing? What's going on? I thought it was a little. That was maybe the only time I suspected something was up with him when he
right.
went in and then immediately came out and fell and was like, "Oh, I've been
Some
stabbed."
blood on his
Blood.
shirt.
I
Yep.
was like, I don't know about this.
I was like, are you kidding me? Yeah, I thought that was gonna be like his reveal.
Mhm.
Glad it wasn't. Um, And then oh yeah, she gets what? She's hiding and then she gets
Like
tricked
thrown
because she thinks he
through.
went out. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she
And she
gets,
gets the
like, thrown
glass in her
through all the
neck.
glasses, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
That was cool, I like that death.
That was cool. A little bit of like a anticlimactic ending there though, when he just looks
Yeah,
down and he's like, oh, she's dead.
yeah, oh, shit, that was it, okay.
I will say when he jumped off the bar, I thought he was jumping onto her body.
Oh
So
my
I did like
god,
an audible like, oh, in the theater,
yes.
but like he wasn't
The
doing
first
that.
time I watched it, I was like, "Whoa," I thought he jumped off and landed, like, on her neck to, like, push the glass in
Yeah.
more, and I was like, "Wow, that was brutal." Then the second time I saw it, I was waiting for that moment, I was like, "Wait a minute, What did I see the first time? Because that didn't happen.
I think it's the way they filmed it. I don't know, or just like what we expected, seeing how much of a jerk this Ghostface has been.
Mhm.
But yeah, and then he goes back and he gets Lucas. And this is an interesting scene. I think it was clearly Halloween inspired because you've
Mhm.
got Ghostface picking somebody up by their head and lifting by their head, which is ridiculous. And then there's a spiky beer tap that he just gets impaled on right through his head.
Yeah.
I thought it was good and it was interesting. It was because people have been like, oh, kills and Scream are so boring. It's just a stab, but it's like now
Mhm.
they're giving us something different, and people are still complaining. By the way,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it was this Terrifier. No, it's not nearly as bad as Terrifier.
Right. Right.
I think it got a little. I want to say they kind of lingered on the shot a little too long for me because,
The
and then
beer coming out.
to the point where it got a little goofy because
Yeah. I was gonna say I got the vibe that I got during Anthony Anderson's death in 4.
yeah.
You know, he's stabbed in the head and he comes out and is like, "Where are you? Whoa, whoa, oh my head!" Oh,
Yeah.
God. Like, you know, I remember even still when I watched that, I'm like, it would have been so much better if he just stepped out and was like, "Oh," and just died. Like, why did he have to
Right, yeah.
make it so goofy? That's kind of how I felt, but I mean, I'm okay with it. I can live with it, you know.
I can definitely live with it. And people were saying, "Oh my god, the CG was terrible," and I was like, I didn't really notice it. I mean, it looks a little off, but honestly, I don't know. I was fine with it. It was
Yeah,
interesting and it was different, so
I'm
people can stop saying that we don't get creative kills
right,
in Scream.
right. And again, it's always somebody different every movie that's a different killer. So of course they're going to kill people like different, you know, ways. They're going to have different ways of doing things like that.
Right.
Super chat, Ghostface Bradley, thank you. He says, "Am I crazy to think McKenna's death is probably the best in the entire franchise?"
Ooh.
Ooh,
You're not
right.
crazy, but it's not mine. But now I'm sitting here and I'm like, "Oh god, what is my favorite?"
I think it's
Um,
probably my favorite in this movie, I would say.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of lean towards the Madison death in the Airbnb.
Yeah, see,
Just because like it's
you forget about the
multi
opening, and it's like, yeah, no,
yeah, got multiple things going on. She falls on the knife and then he dumps gasoline on her and
yeah,
lights her up and she's just laying there screaming. Like it's brutal.
and then
So,
the chandelier falls on her.
oh my god, when that happened, I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
like
I was like,
that was
oh,
brutal. I think
okay,
she was gone by then, but yeah, that was
that was
just
something.
mean spirited. Um, but no, McKenna's is a really good one. And then in fact, like the way it just looks so picturesque when she's dead and hanging there and they've got the stage lights on and it just looks beautiful in a
Yes,
scary, terrible way.
it made me think of like, oh, this is how Casey Becker's death would have looked if it was shot this way, like on a stage. You know, it was just
Right.
so it's Casey's body hanging from that tree with the guts on the ground and it's steaming because it's outside. It's so like brutal and raw. And this is equally brutal and raw, but it's just shot in a way with the lighting where it's kind of strangely beautiful at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
in its own, you know, kind of twisted way.
Yeah, and the way she's hanging there, I think like her right arm is like bent backwards because she was trying to forget if it
Yeah.
got stuck or but she's in like a really strange, almost like puppet like pose. And yeah, it's just haunting. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, moving along. Let's get through this movie because I have
Okay.
some questions for you before we wrap up that I want to hear your thoughts on. So, okay, so what did you suspect Ben at all during the scene in the car when she finds that video?
I
Or
knew
were
it
you
had to
like,
be I knew it had to be a fake out, but at the same time, I was like, you shouldn't be dating this man anyway, because what on I love that he was investigating and seeing like, hey, is this possible? And I think we got earlier like, oh, he's going to school for computer science or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
So it is set up, it is explained, but the stuff that he records himself saying is like, you could have recorded yourself saying anything. You did not need to like call your girlfriend's mom, I forget, like a crazy bitch or something, and say he was
Right.
gonna kill her. And like, I was like, wow, that felt really personal. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think you're the killer, but you've got like some serious rage issues because like
Yeah.
that's really real.
I thought the same thing. I thought, you can tell for a second when she's like, what the hell is this, Ben? And he's like, oh, no, it's not what it looks like. It's blah, 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 blah. She's got a split second where she's kind of like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then the video plays and he's like, you fucking bitch, I'll kill you and your mom.
Oh my
And I was like,
gosh.
oh, God, no, that was it. You're done. It was
So did
you.
you suspect him, or did you just think he was an idiot or weird?
I thought that we were either getting a complete like red herring, and it wasn't him, or we were getting a moment. I thought possibly they were setting up a moment of like, aha, it is him, and then something else is going to happen that makes us think, oh no, it wasn't, and then it will really be him. I thought it could
Oh,
be
okay.
setting out another fake out.
Oh, kind of like what they did with Billy. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we could possibly get something like that. Okay, so then we get the chase scene through the empty streets because of the curfew, which I was totally cool with, totally fine with. And where do we go from there? Ben's death. What do you think of Ben getting killed?
There was a little bit too much of like people being right behind you and being
Yes.
like, hey, like I'm right behind you out of nowhere. But that aside, actually, I liked his death because like he's like, it wasn't me. And she was like, yeah, I know. And then I
Yeah.
think they get like one last hug, and then the killer runs up and just, I forget where he gets stabbed, if it's the neck or the back.
Like the
But
neck
yeah,
or shoulder at first, and then
yeah.
it's, everywhere.
And she's standing right there, and then she shoves Ghostface through like the shop window, but took too long to react, so he was out of there. He was dead.
Oh,
Yeah, Ryan, that's some of the
Sid,
stuff, the physical acting I loved in this movie.
yes, that was perfect.
Yeah.
I really want to. I think I knew at first who the stuntman was that played Ghostface for the majority of this movie, but I can't think of their name. I'm gonna have to look it up again and see, because
Okay.
I think they did a great job. And so
They
I
did.
agree. And thank you, Ryan. Okay, so then we get to the coffee shop scene, and Sydney is trying to help her daughter. Now, I will say I did find it a little strange that her daughter's in trouble and she runs and is like, oh, shoot, Gail has the keys. But I don't want to involve Gail, so I'll just run and take, way longer. Like, that to me was a little like, really? Would she put her daughter more at risk just because she feels bad that Gail's, injured from before?
Yeah, and I convenient writing convenience, I guess, plot convenience, because they wanted Tatum alone. But it's like they could have, I don't know, they could have had her driving, and then maybe like the other ghost face crashes her car or ambushes her when she gets out of her car, when she gets like to the restaurant. Like, I don't know, they
Yeah.
could have done it some other way where it's not just like, no, let me run 20 miles
Right.
to
However
my
long it
coffee
was,
shop, which
yeah.
I don't know how far it was, but like clearly she wasn't going to make it. And then,
Yeah. Yep.
and I know they wanted that whole scene with her on the phone and with the cameras, and that was cool. It was cool, but
Yeah.
I just feel like, yeah, they could have done it in a better way, because now we have people just being like, well, it would have taken you 1 minute to go back upstairs and get Gail's car keys,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to never making it to the destination. But yeah.
Right. So, okay, so she shoots Ghostface through the wall. She is unable to get that final shot off in the head
Should have
before
just waited.
before he jumps up. And then there's one more little tussle, and then what happens? What did you think of the moment when she finally gets this ghost face down? She's ready to run out the door, and around the corner comes a second ghost face.
I love that. I feel like we've seen that a good few times in this series where you get the slow walk in of the other killer. And I'm a sucker for that. I always like that. So
Me too.
I thought it
I
was cool.
loved
I knew
it.
it was coming. I think we all knew it was coming, right? But
Yeah,
it was really cool.
and I thought it actually did the whole two ghost faces on screen at once. I thought that moment was better than when we got that in 6. When as much as I love seeing the two of them going to town on Chad and then they both swipe the knife at the same time, that was really cool. But in subsequent viewings, there's a part of me that's just like, it just kind of feels a little goofy to me, just a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, the knife swipe is like fun, but I guess it's cute if you think, okay, well, it's a brother and sister. That's kind of cute.
Right.
It's not two completely grown adults who are
Yeah.
synchronized, but
if they hadn't been attacking Chad in that scene, I may have been like, it's the twins. Like, holy crap.
right. Oh, yeah.
That would have been freaking awesome.
By the way, just sorry, not to go back to 6,
No.
but I love something I hate in movies is when someone's getting attacked and people have the bystander effect where they just stand there, even if it's your best friend, your husband, whatever, and they're just like, oh. But at the end of Scream 6, when Chad and Tara get attacked, and then the two killers come out, or no, it was before the second killer, but Sarah and Sam and Tara rush up and they each grab an arm of Ghostface and they're like holding him back. And Chad's, I forget if he's beating the shit out of him or he's doing something, but it's like, finally, like, yeah, that's 3 versus 1.
Yep.
Which was a payoff because earlier in the apartment scene, it was like, what, 5 versus 1? And they all like scattered. And then they had, the whole issue with the ladder. But it's like, if you guys had just worked together and, but
yeah, it's like the killer comes in the room and everybody's scatters.
Yeah, I think Chad grabs Tara and runs out the door, so he's gone, and then the rest of them are like, yeah. But anyway, I think this reveal was done well here of the second killer, which we all knew there was a second killer. I guess, and I didn't even think about it. I guess this was the reveal of the second killer, right? I guess we technically didn't know that the rest of the movie, which I didn't find it really surprising because I feel like we just knew.
Yep. And that brings us to the final sequence. So Sydney gets a call from Ghostface, says to meet her where the heart is at her house. Okay, you know what? How about you take me through your thoughts as you were watching this scene the first time? She walks into the house, and right off the bat, you've got AI happening, and and I say you have AI happening because it seems extremely apparent at this moment. It's almost like they didn't even give you a second to be like, holy shit, like, is it going to be Stu? It's like right off the bat, he's like kind of digital sounding and his face is kind of messing up. You got the fake background going on, and then of course he slowly morphs into some other past characters. What did you think about that?
I think that would have been fine if the reveal was different, but that scene with the TVs, like, I was telling Sarah and Night from the Night Watch Zone, I was like, I just need to delete that scene. Like on my second watch, I was like, man, it would be cool if the projector just died right here. And then we got to miss this scene, which is like, that's really harsh and mean. I know. It's just, it did not, like, the Stu AI and the rest of the movie worked really well for me. But this is the part where I was like, this just feels like a weird montage. And it wasn't even interesting. Like, if they had sprinkled these other AI characters throughout the movie and like we got FaceTime calls from them, which I get maybe wouldn't have worked in this context because it was just all about Stu being alive. I get that. But the way that they just crammed 3 more people in here at the end. To do what, by the way? Because everything they say to Sydney, like Mrs. Loomis, she's like, "Oh, you killed my son," and Sydney's like, "Yeah, and I do it again." Like,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
what did you think this would do to her? Like, she doesn't care. She knows they're dead.
Right. She clearly knows that Mrs. Loomis and Roman are dead. So at that point, she
Right.
had to have been like, "What are you doing? Like, this is."
And then what was even weirder to me is that they chose not to de-age the characters,
Mhm.
which to me is like, yeah, you wouldn't do that for Stu because he's meant to be alive,
Right.
obviously. But people like Roman, who died when he was what, like 30,
30. Yeah.
wouldn't that make more sense to, like, you're not fooling anybody, so wouldn't it make more sense to show him as the way she had last seen him?
Yeah.
And obviously he's dead, so it's like, was that just laziness? Did they just not want to do that, and then maybe it would look bad? But honestly, like, if it's AI anyway, like, you can deep fake it really easily.
Right.
Got the technology now, so that was
Yeah.
really weird. And then Dewey just did not. It sucks because the Dewey line, when I heard that in the trailer, I was like, "Oh, that's gonna hit," because I thought he was gonna call Gail or Sydney, and say that like over the phone, not as like a FaceTime call. But seeing the way, I don't know what it was, the way he looked. I think it was Killjoy Jake who was like, they just had David Arquette, they didn't have Dewey, and I was like,
Right.
yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. He had like this like skin tight black like long sleeve shirt on, and his hair was very My Chemical Romance ish looking, and it was
Yeah.
kind of odd. It was like, was he doing another movie at the time when they shot it? And he was like, "Guys, I can't, you can't fuck with my look because it's for this other movie." I don't know.
I don't know, but it's like it was just so weird because I was like, what was the direction here, and like what was the point? And like it just feels, it sucks. It feels like that's what he would have looked like in a rehearsal, but like
Right.
I
Right.
I don't know what to say. Like it's that's the one scene in the movie that to me is like shockingly bad.
Yeah, it's maybe like again, perfect example when you just said that, when you just said oh, and then we got Dewey, and that was, my brain was like, did we get Dewey? Yeah, we did, that's right, but I don't
Yeah.
remember because I don't feel like we got Dewey. I feel like we got David Arquette just standing there reading lines.
Yeah, and then that just goes to show that we can barely remember it because it just wasn't impactful either. Like what he said should have been a great line. He said something like, all of your friends die, everybody you know dies." Um, and that's a good line. It's just like the way he looked and the way it was delivered and the way it was filmed with these 3 people, where like it literally just looked like they were in front of a green screen in their own homes, um, with the tripod. It just didn't
Yeah,
work. Mm-mm. Death. Yeah.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
that's a great one, Ryan. They should have done that for
100%.
sure if they were wearing
Oh,
their death outfits.
I didn't even think of that, and now I'm really mad. I love that you said that, Ryan.
Yeah. I
Oh,
mean, Roman could have been standing there in his robe that was
yeah.
like tattered with bullet holes, and
The blood on his face and everywhere
oh,
else, and Mrs.
what could have.
Loomis. Yeah. She got a shot to the forehead, right?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, they
Yep.
should have just done that. Yeah, death makeup and outfits.
Yeah.
Um, Dewey, oh my God, Dewey, if they showed him like ripped up, oh,
Oh,
that would have been so cool. But that's the thing. It just felt half baked, I guess. They didn't think it through
man.
too much. They're like, let's just rush in these other cameos. And it's like, okay.
All right, so let's get to the reveals. The reveals. So the killer, the first, or I guess the second killer, is unmasked as Marco from
Mhm.
the uh, psych hospital, the orderly. Did you see that coming? Did
Um,
you have an issue with it? What were your thoughts on that when you first saw the mask come off and it was him? Were you like, ugh?
I was a little disappointed, but I was like, there's 2.
Yeah,
So got a 50-50 shot, baby.
Yeah,
We could still have
one
Stu
more.
back there.
There's one more.
I will say, like, I honestly like forgot about him after
Mhm.
his scene was over, and like 20 minutes later, I forgot about him. So then when I saw him, I was like, who? And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that guy. But then when he was like, come on out, Stu, and I was like, my
Yeah.
heart dropped. I was like, oh my God. um,
And then that
yeah,
gate opens and out walks the second ghost face.
yeah. And the gate opens, someone pointed this out to me on Tuesday night. They were like, the gate opens as if like there was a third person there opening it. Because like
Like it was like remote
the
controllers.
ghost face is like far back and like just walks and like the gate's opening. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
I noticed that.
Weird.
I definitely noticed that as well.
Did your heart sink? Well, mine did. I don't know how badly you wanted it to be, Stu, but when I saw the second ghost face walk up, I was like, this person's short. Matthew Lillard is 6'5", I believe. And then I was like, that's not him.
I'm not sure that I noticed the height on my first viewing. I think I was just ready. Like I was like, here we go. Take the mask off. Who is it? I don't at this point, like, I don't give a shit who it is. It's just it's gotta be somebody like it's gotta be somebody that we, have seen more than this guy. Not that I had that big of an issue that some people are having with the fact that Marco was barely in the movie. But I was just kind of like, okay, give me somebody that we've seen and spent a little bit of time with to kind of make sense of this. Because I already had the feeling that Marco's not the mastermind. There's no way. Like whoever his partner is the one with the motive and the whole plot behind this. I will say, surprisingly, I did kind of forget about Jessica in the sense of like, not that I forgot about her until she pulled the mask off, but when she pulled the mask off and I saw her, I remember going, oh yeah, we haven't seen her in a while. Like, that's right. That's where she's been the whole rest of the movie.
Yeah, and even at this point, they still could have saved the movie for me because as we've been talking about for a couple years now, like if Jessica was revealed to be Leslie, Stu's sister, could have been way better for me because then for me all of the Stu stuff would have made sense, like this obsession with making people think he's alive. But nope, that was not her. That was not her motive.
Yeah, what did you think of the motive now? Do you even fully grasp it and understand it? I still see some people that are like, I think I get what she was, trying to say her motive was, but
yeah. So, well, the first time I saw it, I zoned out a little because I was so disappointed, and I was just like, and I was like, no, I gotta focus. But the second time I was able to really listen, and yeah, I to me what I got from it was. So I think it could have been a really good motive because it seemed like she read Sydney's book, Out of Darkness, and she really took that to heart. Almost had like a parasocial relationship with Sydney. Like, this is my hero. I love Sydney. I want to be like Sydney. And then she's in this abusive marriage and she thinks, hey, Sydney got out of darkness by killing her abusers, I guess you could say. I'm going to do that. And she does. And I thought if it had stopped there, I would have been fine with it because that's dark. That's sad. You almost feel sad for her because, I mean, no, what she's doing now makes no sense. But yeah, just the abusive marriage part of it, I feel like they really could have done something with that where she was almost a sympathetic ghost face to an extent.
Right.
But then she just keeps going and she's like, yeah, my son had to die. And I was like, all right, you lost me already because that made no sense. But he was too much like his dad. And I was like, he's so nice.
I know.
That's interesting that you say that. the
And
nicest kid.
I feel like a lot of this stuff is, you know, I guess you could technically say it's easily explained away because you could literally just go, well, I mean, they're all from a freaking psych hospital, like they're all nuts anyways, they're all nut jobs.
Sure, yeah.
So none of this is going to make sense. It only makes sense to them in their head. They're crazy. I get that. Sure, yeah, that was you know, one way of making sure that there were no holes and like, well, would they really do this, or why would Marco agree to this, or why would Carl go along with it? Everyone was like, what was Carl's motive? I never thought Carl had I thought he's just a lunatic and just went along with it because he just thought it would be fun.
Yeah,
Like,
you don't have to, and it could be anything. They were in the hospital together. He could like her. He could just want to be part of something, a group.
mm-hmm.
Like who knows? I think it's fine because there's always like there has to be like, you know, a quote unquote heavy who's like doing a lot of the heavy lifting of the kills, and
Yeah.
they don't need to have a motive. They could just be along for the ride. Like even Mickey was just he was a serial killer and just there to
Yeah.
have fun. So
Yep.
I think that's totally fine. You just have to have one person who's got the interesting motive.
Yeah. And I personally didn't have an issue really with you know, Marco. A lot of people were like, oh, he didn't do much. He just kind of ranted and argued with Jessica a little bit and then he gets shot. And he also didn't really have a motive. He just kind of says like he just went along with it. And I'm like, yeah, but like I'm okay with that because again, Marco reminded me a lot of Mickey as well in that sense. Kind of like, I don't know. I'm just doing whatever, you know, she says. Like, I'm just here to do that. Like,
Yeah.
and I've also seen recently a lot of complaints that people are saying the motive of we want to kill Sydney in front of the daughter, in front of Tatum, so that Tatum becomes Sydney 2.0. They go, the problem with that is it makes no sense because they've already revealed themselves. So what were they going to do? Just let her go? And what were they going to do? And I don't necessarily think that's I don't have an issue with that. I think it's easily explained as like if they were to have done that, I think their plan was either to just get caught and plead insanity and go back to a psych ward and not care, knowing that they created this Sydney 2.0, or they would have just fled, you know, thinking, you know, how many people in real life do stupid shit like that and just think, oh, I can just flee and I'll never get caught. Yeah. They always get caught usually, but
yeah, that's something I thought about even in my first viewing. I was like, what was the end goal here? Because yeah, you're making a new Sydney, but there's no way out of this for you. My first thought was like, well, maybe part of the plan is she wants Tatum to kill them.
Right.
Like kill her and Marco. And like still like mission accomplished. They made a new Sydney. But then somebody said to me, I forget what it was exactly, but like, no, that doesn't make sense because like they wanted to be alive to witness like the new Sydney. So like, okay, well, maybe they're just insane and they had no plan going in. I don't know.
Right. Right. Which again, considering the character's history in the film in the past, that could very well be, you know, what they were going for as far as, you know, hey, we don't have to answer these questions for the audience because we can just be like, duh, they were in a psych hospital for how long? Like,
right.
Clearly they're insane. That's the answer.
Yeah, I mean, and it sucks because I think they could have had like a little line of something talking about their way out of this, if that's you know what they were planning to do, and then that could have fixed that whole quote unquote plot hole. But yeah, again, it's like the least of our worries here, I guess.
All right, so you didn't get Stu back.
Nope.
Final thoughts on the movie, and then we'll go. I just got a couple of questions here that, not really questions, just a couple of little topics that I made notes of that I wanted to make sure we brought up. They'll be quick things, though. So.
Final thoughts on the movie. I don't think I'm going to budge on the first 2 acts of the movie. I think those are solid, and I don't think that's going to change for me. It's really disappointing to me though when a reveal doesn't hit and not only does it not hit, it like retroactively harms the rest of the movie for me, because when I saw these two get revealed, I was like, well, then why'd you burn the stew house?
Right.
Why did you have to go all the way to California to do that? Sydney didn't even talk about it. Like, it seems like it had no effect on the movie, because yeah, it got the attention of, I think, Gail and obviously the news, but it's like Sydney didn't seem bothered by it. So that just felt it sucks, because it feels like they were setting all these things up for a Stu return, and then they chickened out last second, is what it felt like. To me, my opinion.
Yeah.
That being said, though, I'm still really high on the movie. It's still really high on my list. It's like top 4, probably. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And some people are saying like this is a worst case scenario and they ruined the franchise and like that's it. It's over. And I'm like, we can recover. We've recovered from worse.
Not that bad, really,
And
guys.
it's not that bad. Yes, someone has even said it's the worst movie ever made, which I think they're joking about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen people say that and then go, and I'm not joking. And I literally want to be like, you must have only seen like 5 movies in your life then, because of that.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you at that point.
Like, holy cow.
It's got great acting. It's shot great. Cinematography, the score, like even all that, even if the story was bad, like it's just, but yeah, that's ridiculous. So I think, I don't know, for me, I'm disappointed, but still, like, I think they could really come back from this in 8 and maybe even do a little retconning that would retroactively improve this one for me. So
yeah, they could. I mean, anything's possible. We know they're already talking about ideas if they were to get an 8 greenlit. So that's a good sign, I think. And okay, guys, we're going to start to wrap it up here, but I want to hit on a couple. I did these notes right here. See, proof I got notes. These are just little things that I wanted to make sure we mentioned because I want to get your thoughts on these. So, okay, Julie, do you think that Scream 7 will possibly be more appreciated in the future as time goes on, kind of similar to like what happened with Scream 3? How, for the longest time, everyone was like, Scream 3 sucks. It's like the worst Scream and da-da-da-da. And now it's got so much love behind it. And a lot of people have come around to it over time. Do you think Scream 7 will have something similar happen as time goes on?
So for me personally, yeah. Because just going back to 6, when I like, oh, the ending was awful, awful, awful. It ruined the movie. And now I can look back and say, yeah, I mean, it was funny and it was pretty bad, but I still love the movie.
Right.
So I got over that pretty quickly. However, I feel like a lot, I don't know. I mean, we had the boycotts this time, like, and honestly, good on the boycotters. Like, if you are not going to see this because you have a belief that you shouldn't, like, that's awesome. That's amazing. I couldn't stand strong. I felt like I had to see the movie because I love Scream. So yeah. I feel like I'm a jerk for that, but
when all that happened, I'm sure it's still up. I posted a meme that I made that was I basically made a meme of like Ghostface unmasking himself, and I was like, surprise, the killer in Scream 7 is Spyglass Pictures for ruining the franchise. Yeah. And great job, guys. Like, yeah, and I was kind of there for a minute. I was like, yeah, fuck that, that's bullshit. But yeah, I'm a weakling. I can't not.
Me too, man. I'm weak. I had to go see it. And not only that, I saw it twice. And you saw it 3 times. So we're helping him out. But
heck yeah.
At the same time, if you don't want this series to die, hey, you should go see it. So yeah. Forget what I was even talking about. I don't remember what the point of all that was.
We were just talking about if Scream 7 would be more appreciated in the future.
Okay. I'm sorry. So yeah. So I think for those people, if they ever see it, they're probably still going to hate it. But I don't know. I do think, and the other night, Jake and everybody were talking about like Halloween Ends and like, oh, people
Mhm.
softened on that, and majority is no, not really. If you didn't like it, a lot of people still just hate it. But Jake said something the other night where he was like, yeah, I mean, time and distance makes the heart grow fonder. He was like, it almost sounded like he might come around to this movie, because I don't know if you saw anything from him lately, but he really hated it.
Yeah, I did.
He did not
Yeah.
like it, which is really sad. I felt so bad. But I could see him coming around to it a little bit.
Yeah.
So using that metric, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people will come around. Just certainly not everybody. Just like how with 3, not everybody is on board with that either.
Yeah, I agree. Next one's a really quick and simple one, and this one is a question. How the fuck did Ghostface get the code to the coffee shop?
Oh, I know.
Okay, perfect. I'm glad you have an answer because I don't.
So I have no proof of this, but my thought was, so that's Marco at the door, right?
Yes.
Who can't get in. Okay. I was assuming that he ran off and either texted or called or met in person with Jessica, and she had the code. Now, why she would have the code, she could have stolen it or copied it while she was in the coffee shop with Sydney, or they're meant to be best friends, right?
Right.
So maybe Sydney had given Jessica the code, which, knowing Sydney, that seems kind of, I don't know if she would do that, but I would say like I got the impression that Jessica was in the coffee shop a lot, and then maybe she, I don't know, maybe she saw it somewhere or stole it, like who knows. But
Right.
that was how I thought he got it. Like he didn't know it, but she knew it, so he went back to her to get it, and that's why he then came back and like boop 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 put it in.
Yeah, and did that throw you off too at first? Like when you first saw it and that happened, were you like, he has the code, the killer has the code, whoever it is must be somebody associated with the coffee shop because they know the code.
Yep.
And then it just never was mentioned. It was never panned out. And because I remember thinking, like, again, like we talked about with the bar, it's like, just break a freaking window if you really want to get in there.
Yeah. And the windows seem pretty easy to break, because that scene when Tatum throws Ghostface through the window, it's like falls right through like it's paper. Oh.
All right. Next. Okay. Stu's house being burnt down. This is my theory on why it was done.
Okay.
You tell me what you think. So I believe that it is technically explained in the movie, even though it's not directly explained. Look at the motive. What was the killer's motive? Kill Sydney, erase her legacy, create Sydney 2.0. Burning down Stu's house, the place where she was born, a real life Scream Queen, was the first step towards erasing her legacy.
Okay.
That's how I interpreted the burning of his house. Now, do I think that was a good enough reason in hindsight to forever lose that location for future movies? No. I would have expected something much cooler.
That's
But
what hurts the most. It's
yeah,
gone forever.
yep. That's how I interpreted it. They're trying to wipe Sydney out of the picture completely and start a new final girl.
That's fair. That's fair. I just like, I get it. I think it makes sense what you said. I just wish they had done maybe her childhood home. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I think I'm just so mad about losing the historical landmark that is Stu's house. And to be fair, it's a house I never thought I'd see again until they brought it back in 5, and then it's like,
yeah.
and now
Same.
they keep using it, and now it's gone. So,
and when they announced, well, they didn't really announce it, but when we saw like behind the scenes pictures of 5, that they were clearly had like the front of the house like rebuilt. I remember thinking like, oh, we're getting some kind of cool flashback. I bet there's going to be some kind of flashback. We're going to learn something new. Obviously that wasn't it, but I was happy with how we got it back.
yeah.
Okay. Three more, and they're short. One, I personally, I don't know about you. This is what I want to get your opinion on. Do you still feel that Scream 6 overall has the worst ending in the franchise as far as like the reveal goes? Like, obviously, I love the movie as a whole, but if you want to talk about a movie that an ending that really doesn't make sense, look at 6. Like, really, it makes no sense whatsoever. You and I talked about that, not just the acting that was bad, but also the logistics behind like how somehow nobody knew that this is Richie's family or father, and with him being a cop on top of that, it just made no sense to me. I think this ending is. I think 7 is way better of an ending than 6.
So I think 6 is a more entertaining ending for me, despite the ridiculous flaws in logic and the weird acting.
I agree with that.
I think, unfortunately, 7 is almost a little lower for me, which is crazy, only because I just felt really underwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I'm kind of a hypocrite because at the same time, it's like, well, I kind of like the intimacy of it being in her backyard and it's just her family and the killers. And that's really cool and intimate and different. But at the same time, I did not love the final fight between Sydney and Jessica. I thought it needed to like go elsewhere, like maybe even just like expanding into the rest of the house. I don't know. It just felt a little too abrupt and just not very interesting.
It was definitely rushed. I feel like the ending kind of reminded me more of I don't know. The whole movie gave me more of a Scream 2 vibe than any of the other sequels. You know, as a whole, it was dark and brooding. And you got the theater scenes. You've got you've got this weird professor, the theater guy. She's got that in Scream 2. Just the overall tone and feel felt like Scream 2. And the ending kind of reminded me of it because, you get the reveal and then it's like, Mickey says like 6 things and then he's, basically killed. And then it's just her fighting Mrs. Loomis. It's kind of like that. It's like Marco gets shot in the head and then it's just her versus Jessica. But yeah, I agree. It was very, very, it was a quick fight.
It was, which is why I'm sitting here like, I don't know which one is worse. At least with 6, like I can laugh and I know it's ridiculous, but there's also a lot going on and like there's really cool sets and like people are falling off of balconies. And right before that, we had the Chad kill. So I don't know. I almost lean towards 6's reveal more just because at least I get something out of it. This one for me was just disappointing and really underwhelming. Like even though I didn't get what I wanted, that's fine. It's just as long as what's there is good enough.
Right.
And for me, it sadly wasn't good enough.
Yeah. I agree with you there. All right, last one, and then we will wrap this up for the night. Okay, this is another, I guess this one's to get your thoughts. Do you feel that the marketing behind Scream 7 is potentially to blame for some of the backlash it's getting? If you break down the marketing that we've had for 5, 6, and 7, obviously Scream 5 marketing kind of didn't really promise anything other than like, hey, there's a new Scream movie and, come see it. It's going to be fun. 6 really leaned heavily on the there's never been a ghost face like me thing.
That made me so mad.
Didn't really deliver on that. However, moving on to this one, 7's marketing, it was all about face your past. I've been planning this for a long time. I'm going to burn it all down. Every call, every scream, every movie has led to this. So forgetting about Stu altogether, did the marketing promise that 7 was going to reveal something shocking from the past, and it just didn't do that?
Yeah, 100%. Even if it was like the police chief from 1, like like you said, like even if it's not about Stu, well, number one, you made your whole movie revolve around that character, but number two, it's just they keep going to extremes with the marketing where, like you said, oh, I'm different. In 5, Dewey says it feels different this time, and they use that in the trailer. There was nothing different about it, and not really, besides not being family related killers, but
yeah,
it feels like false advertising, and it's frustrating to me because I even said this after 6. I was like, I'm done with the promises here because we always get let down. And the reveal they chose to go with here, to me, does not warrant that kind of tease in the marketing. Where we grew up, and yeah, like you said, I've been planning this a long time, every kill, and it's like,
yep.
no.
Yeah, they really made you think like, no, you don't understand. Like every moment that happened in Scream 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, it's all led to this. Like,
right. And that, unfortunately, then that comes off, like, to be pessimistic, that comes off a bit mean-spirited or malignant, because it's like, you know what you're doing with that. You know exactly what a lot of people have wanted, and it felt like they were tailoring their marketing around Stu completely.
right.
And then they based the whole movie on him, and then to just at the end be like, haha, he's dead. That would be really stupid if he wasn't dead. It's like, nobody asked you to base your whole movie on this character. You chose to do that. Like, they could have just moved on and completely ignored it.
Right.
So that's what's so perplexing to me, that they made that choice.
Well, that seems like a perfect time to, before we go for real this time, I think you just led into what you brought up at the very beginning of this that you would like to discuss, and that is the recent news from Kevin Williamson that apparently there was a little something extra shot because they, quote unquote, weren't sure. They were not sure how they wanted to do a certain thing. And that they decided that the audience really wanted, quote, this character to be dead. And that is Stu. Apparently, there was Kevin calls it a coda shot, which I interpreted that as meaning probably a post-credit scene that would have revealed that no, Stu is in fact alive.
Okay. So kind of like implying a lead-in to 8.
Yes.
And he would be the killer in 8.
Okay. Yes. And yeah, what are you? How did you feel when you read that? What are your thoughts? What do you want to say about
when I first read that? Number one, the word coda, I didn't even think anything of it. I immediately jumped to, we got the alternate ending of the movie. This is terrible. I'm so mad because I was already like in the stage of like acceptance. I was like, okay, they made their choice. He's gone. Bad ending for me, but like, okay, just gotta accept it and move on. And then that interview releases, and I was like, oh my God. I was like seeing red the whole next day. I was so upset because it's like, you thought it was viable enough to film it and do it, and then you show it to a test audience who shakes you so badly to the core that you then change the entire outcome of the movie, really, because hinging on that ending, that changes the entire movie. It really does. Even if it is just a post-credit scene, it completely changes the tone of the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, the context of the rest of the movie. So that was shocking, and it broke my heart, honestly. Yeah, well, so if we get it on the Blu-ray, then that kind of, I'm stuck because I know
what you're gonna say, and I hope you say it because I'm thinking the same thing.
I really want to see the scene. Like, I instantly was like, they need to release or leak that scene. But if they put it as a deleted scene, then I think that means we're not getting it in 8. Whereas right now, and you can make that argument because he already said it out loud that it was not used. But if it's not a deleted scene, then it gives me hope that maybe they will change their minds and they will use that in the next movie. And roll with it.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Was as much as I want to see what that scene is for sure, I feel like if they absolutely put it on as a special feature, then it's forever going to be just kind of considered like, well, it's not canon, it's a deleted scene, it's deleted, it doesn't count. That's that. But if for some reason, I mean, like you said, he's already brought it up, he's already mentioned it, we already know that this little moment or scene exists. If they don't put that on the physical release, then I think that's possibly a sign that they're like, whoa, hold on. If we do this, there's no going back at this point. Like, you know, if we put it out there as a deleted scene, it's done. Do we want to do that, or do we want to keep it in our back pocket just in case?
If they keep it in their pocket, they need to use it next movie. The unfortunate thing is this was the perfect setup to do this, and you blew it. Because now in the next movie, how are you going to, you're not going to be able to set it up in this same way and then get the results at the end like you would have if you had just done it here. Because the real twist would have been, oh, he's not AI, he's alive. Perfect.
Yep. And it was already, as you and I had discussed before, and Knight and I have discussed, that it was already going to be a difficult task to set it up so perfectly in a part 7. You know, I've said many times, like, guys, if you were going to do this, the time to have done it would have been like Scream 2 or 3. At this point, it's like you're waiting too long. It's the longer you wait, the less believable it becomes, because then people are going to be like, really? Just like they said in this movie, 30 years and what, the guy's just, nobody's recognized him, nobody knows that he's still alive.
They had a viable plan for that, though. The BS story from Marco, oh, he's a drifter and he hit his head and he has no memory. And I was sitting there eating that up. I was like, all right, sure.
Yeah, I think somewhere in California, I was like, oh, yeah, that tracks. Okay.
And that has happened to people in real life, where they lose their memory and they like leave the state and then they get found months, years later as a homeless person. It happens. So unfortunately, it feels like they set it up perfectly here, because his intake record at the morgue is missing, and it's like you said all this. So, and by the way, was that just a lie? Like, didn't she call the actual office?
Right. Or, you know, did whichever Ghostface was in you know, Woodsboro to burn the house down, did he break in and steal? Like, we don't know. Like, again, that would have been nice to explain that if that was the case, you know.
Or they didn't, because they're leaving it open. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. But you overall, you're thinking that, like, guys, you kind of, if you really were truly going to bring Stu back at some point, you kind of blew it this time.
I do think they blew it, but I will say, with open arms, I would be like, if they want to, they change their mind and they want to go back to this in the next one, and they somehow make it good and watchable and not ridiculous and embarrassing. Because it is embarrassing if they then are like, well, the fans need us to backtrack, so now we got to embarrass ourselves and admit that we were wrong. I don't care. Like, if they can make it work, I'll be happy. And then, yeah, retroactively, this movie would be way better for me. So,
yeah,
yeah,
I agree. All right, well, thank you so much for this. This was awesome. This was fun. Everybody, thank you for joining us. And really, you know, is there anything you want to plug, Julie? Anything you want to put out there at all? Anything?
I don't have YouTube. I'm not a creator myself. But you will catch me over at the Night Watch Zone. I'm there primarily as a moderator. But Knight, the owner of the channel, he has a new podcast called Scream at Night. Typically multiple episodes a week, but I am lucky enough to get to appear on that show pretty often. I don't know how, but he's an awesome guy. He somehow lets me come back. So yeah, definitely go subscribe to the Night Watch Zone.
Yes.
Great content over there.
Yes, that's quickly becoming one of my favorite channels.
And you can also find the Scream at Night podcast on Spotify and Apple. I'm over here plugging his podcast, but yeah. I have nothing of my own to plug, so I might as well, right?
Well, yeah, and you're on them, so
yeah. Yep, I am on them.
More often than not.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will make sure to put the links for all that stuff, like Knight's things and everything you said, into the description of this video as soon as it goes up on YouTube shortly. So, all right.
Thank you.
Yes, I will see you backstage here in 1 second to say our goodbyes, and then we will be done. Okay.
It's good to meet everybody in the chat. Thanks for watching our rant here.
Yes. All right. I'll be with you 1 second.
All right.
All right, guys. Well, that does it for tonight. This went a lot longer than I thought, but hey, it's, you got someone like Julie on, you can just talk for hours and hours, That's probably one of the many reasons Knight has her so often. She's great and easy to talk to, has great ideas, super smart when it comes to this stuff, especially. So, all right, guys, I will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the super chats. Peace out, guys.